Good morning, everyone. Dr. Victoria Scarborough here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. Today is Thursday, July 29th, or if you're listening to this on the other side of the world, in Australia, New Zealand, or anywhere on that side of the world, it is the 30th, and it is a Friday. The moon is in Aries all day. It does make a very early morning sextile to Saturn and then a conjunction to Chiron. So we kind of start the day, even when we maybe are not aware, even when we're sleeping, I guess. The need for structure, the need for communication, the need for perhaps some diplomacy, getting together and having conversations about things are going to be important for us to move forward and to structure things that will help people who are in need, really. And at this point, quite frankly, we're all in need one way or another, right? So I wanted to show you that the opening shot was I have a cup of coffee, my camera, and what's going on in the stars, and I have to put my cup of coffee down before I either drop it or fall over something. So there's my cup of coffee right there. Okay, so the first thing we looked at over there, that's the oak leaf hydrangea. I just wanted to show you the color that it is turned now. It's kind of a little raspberry-ish, and then some green. It's such a beautiful plant. And it's always changing. It's always different, which is what I love about it. Okay, so let's go back to what's going on today. So we have this sort of need to discuss, this need to, and of course the Aries moon always sort of brings in that let's get started. And so you might actually wake up with this sort of feeling that you have your feet in the blocks, the starting blocks, right? It's like boom, and then you got to get going. So I'm actually going to have a day like that today, which is kind of cool. I usually have a lot of laid back days out of necessity usually, but it's going to be, it's this day is coming off the blocks quickly, I would say. We do have a square of Venus to the nodes of the moon. Venus is at the bends, as they say. Of course, the north node is in Gemini, the south node is in Sag, and so Venus in Virgo squares that. The resolution node for Venus and Virgo square the nodes, and of course, with Venus square the nodes, there's insecurity, there can be money issues, there can be issues with your sense of self-worth and self-esteem. The resolution node is the north node in Gemini. So if you're feeling insecure, if you're feeling like you're at a loss in some way when it comes to issues of Venus, relationships, money, relationship to self, your values, it pays to just talk about it, actually. That north node in Gemini, discuss it, communicate your needs perhaps, and maybe you'll find out that people are more willing to help than you thought they might be. Because that Venus square the nodes often comes across as feeling unworthy. So know that you are worthy. Mars and Jupiter make an opposition today. Mars is forward motion, Jupiter is the big picture. Jupiter yesterday just moved back into Aquarius. Now Mars is about to move out of Leo and is going to, after this opposition, is actually going to move into Virgo. So what does that mean? Well, oppositions are about awareness, and Jupiter is, the big picture. What have we learned? And it's in Aquarius now, so it's about interconnectedness. It's kind of about no man is an island. And the opposition to Mars in Leo, which can be, Mars and Leo can be like a me kind of thing. We have an awareness around that, an awareness around our personal needs and our collective needs. And so as we look at that, it's going to seem rather overwhelming. It's going to seem rather overwhelming because it's almost as if there's just so many things. How could we possibly, right? How could we possibly fix, or how could we possibly deal with? You know that expression, how do you eat an elephant? Not that I would or that we should. One bite at a time. That's what Mars moving into Virgo does. It reminds us that we can do this. We just have to chunk it down. So look around your life. Where does it seem completely out of control and there's just way too much to do? I don't know where to start. The Aries moon says just start somewhere. Start somewhere and chunk it down. You know, give yourself, even if you have to give yourself an hour a day to accomplish something that you've either been putting off or it's sort of got to the back burner. A lot of the things that get to the back burner are things that we need to do immediately. Prioritization can be an issue for people. It's certainly an issue for me, especially if you're a bit of a procrastinator, which of course I am. That procrastination is kind of an Aquarius thing. With Saturn in Aquarius now, you know, all our procrastination stuff is coming up and saying, don't you need to deal with this, dear? And yes, you do, but don't get overwhelmed by the thought of it or by this expanse of it. Chunk it down, step by step, little by little. Make those small improvements. Mars in Virgo is also a great time to do some health improvements, but not all at once. It's not an extreme like, oh, I was this way one day and I'm this way the next day. No, it's about making adjustments, gradual adjustments in the way you move forward. And that is what the Mars in Virgo is going to help us do. So there's a lot of work ahead of us, but that Mars in Virgo promises that if we just breathe, just calm down, pick one thing, work on it, and then the next day you can continue to work on that or pick something else and work on it. By the time Mars exits Virgo, and Mars spends about 6 weeks in a sign, so we have some time with Mars in Virgo. By the time Mars moves into Libra, we probably will have cleaned up quite a bit if we apply ourselves. Now, of course, we have to take into consideration that Virgo is a health aspect as well. So the issues around the pandemic will probably raise up again. Now they're saying that the Delta variant can be transmitted from people who have been vaccinated because not everybody's getting vaccinated, right? It's a pandemic of the unvaccinated, which is like a thing now. So it makes people who are not vaccinated kind of pariahs, and so you know, there's a sense of taking responsibility for yourself and taking responsibility for the fact that you're part of a collective. I personally think that the vaccines need to be a personal decision, right? This is just my own personal thing. But I also think that you need to make sure that you get all the information to make a good decision. I think a lot of people are making these decisions on what they maybe saw on Facebook, or maybe they don't understand the science. And, you know, science is complex. I know that there's a profit thing going on here, you know, like these vaccine makers are making a lot of money. But the science, I think science is science and business is business. And I feel like there's more science-based stuff happening now. As we move through this and you know, go further into the years, they may make it a business thing. That's when I would start to question, actually. Not so much now, but again, that's me and that's my decision and my understanding of the situation. So I'm not here to influence anyone. I just know for myself, I did it because I wanted to protect those that I loved. And I wanted to be able to go visit people that I want to visit. I wanted to travel. I mean, I don't know how much traveling we're going to get done now with this Delta variant. And then, whatever else is going to come down the pike. But I wanted to have the option. My birth mother and my sister are both somewhat immune suppressed because of medications they're on. And I didn't want that to stop me from seeing them. So that was my decision. I weighed my own physical health, which is relatively good, against what it was that I wanted to experience in life and who I wanted to protect. I also, of course, wanted to protect my mother, Angie, who's, 100. But I felt really at peace with this decision I made. And I think that's the most important thing. If you don't want to vax and you are at peace with that, and you take the precautions that are necessary. If you don't want to be vaxxed, then wear a mask. You're in way more danger than I am. Appreciate yourself enough to do what you need to do to stay safe, even if you don't think the vaccine is going to do that for you. So that's just my feeling on stuff. And I guess I'm talking about it because of the Mars in Virgo. Just as options, and then that Mars opposite Jupiter, just looking at the big picture, taking all the facts, look at the big picture. Venus square the nodes. Do you value yourself enough? Do you value yourself too much, and you're putting your relationships at risk because you're being too egocentric or self-centered or self-centric, maybe I should say. So, it's all things to look at. Just whatever you do, it's your business. But we do live with others. And so we do need to take that into consideration. So I might be preaching to the choir here, but I just thought I'd say those few things. All right, I'm going to let you go, guys. It was a long video. So the other thing, that is blooming are these hibiscus, and every time, the first one came out yesterday, and they sort of sit there and they don't look like, if you see the one in the back there, it's not open yet, so it sort of sits there and you're like, oh look, that's gonna open, and then it opens and it's like a freaking dinner plate, and you're like, oh my god, it's open. So every time these open, I've had them for a few years, but every time they open, they shock me. They shock me with their hugeness and their beauty. So here's to being shocked by hugeness and beauty of the natural world. Have yourself a great day. Like and subscribe. Much love to you all. Namaste.